nice to see you. If you guys don't know who I am, I'm Bullhorn Betty. I come to you live about true crime cases. We've been covering the case of Nancy Guthrie, and we've had a lot of twists and turns in the case of Nancy Guthrie. From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you, God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims. Nancy Guthrie is an 84-year-old grandmother that disappeared, actually ripped from her home by a masked gunman in the middle of the night. We found this out days later of what happened, and that was after many people started accusing her son-in-law of being involved, Tommaso Cioni. We've learned from Pima County Sheriff that Tommaso, Annie, Cameron, Savannah, their spouses, have been cleared from any involvement with this abduction of this 84-year-old grandmother. We also learned by information released from the FBI to the New York Times that Mexico is also ruled out as a possibility or a possible avenue for the 84-year-old grandmother. Last night we had a great conversation on my channel about this case, and I opened up the phone lines and spoke to several people, and there were a few people that brought up some interesting information on this live, such as airports or private runways and private airports. Also, I heard that President Donald J. Trump is not happy with the sheriff right now because we, the public, were never supposed to know about this signal sniffer. This signal sniffer was highly elite, a highly elite product that was supposed to be secret, allegedly secret. Somebody also called in and said they believe because all of these things were purchased, appear to be purchased from Walmart, like the gun holster, the backpack with the reflector spots on it, which was the Ozark Trail 25-liter hiker backpack. Those were all purchased from Walmart, and some people that called in further stated that we needed to probably look for a Walmart near a tactical type of store, and that tactical store may be within 5 miles of that Walmart. So I thought that was pretty interesting and a pretty interesting perspective. We also had another person call in and talk about the ring and provide some information about Jason. Jason is one of the neighbors that came out, and many people noticed his very prominent ring on his ring finger. And when it's compared to the ring finger of the assailant, you can see many people mistakenly thought that it was a pinky ring. But if you go back and look, there's no strap protruding out of the black glove on the pinky side. So it looks like it's sitting right on top of the ring finger. And so that was interesting. And we were able to compare Jason's ring as well as his shoes as being possibly matching the person we saw on the Nest camera. And actually, even the drawing, take away the hair, somebody even put this up next to this Jason character, and removing the hair, it does look similar in nature, that it could bode. So we've got a lot of different perspectives here, including what might be located on the black or dark web. And some people even stated that they do not think that this is about money. This is about revenge. This is about resentment. Even a distant friend, like a frenemy, being proclaimed, as possible motives. Nothing that happened now, just something that put something over the edge with somebody in the past, potentially related to Savannah, such as maybe a best friend that was left in the dust when she became famous, something along those lines. More people called in and told us to look at the private airports, private property with private runways. They do have properties. They have communities in Arizona that have private runways. It is a community of pilots. It is the most insane thing I've ever heard in my life, but it's a real thing. I looked it up yesterday. So this private airport and private flight could have some teeth, especially in the Arizona area. We had another call in about why have we not heard about any cell phone triangulations. There's more things than just phones that follow people. Also stating that the timeline, some people called in and said the timeline is all over the place. And there's just some things that are missing from this timeline, and they want to know why. Also, they believe that the two photos, the one with the person with the backpack and the one without, somebody believes those happened on two totally separate nights. And they also find it very interesting that no vehicle after 20 days has really been defined to the public so far, and believe that there are two people, in fact, in this video footage. So that is really where we are. And we're going to be going into this case later today at 8:30 in just an hour on the YT. And the topic of our conversation are going to be multitude. It's going to be a multitude of conversations, but the core conversation is going to be about the church, because this was walked back, and this is very concerning, especially on the heels of the family being cleared. And the reason why I bring this up is because it's caused a lot of contention with my audience on who called from the church, because on its face, when we first heard it, it made sense. She goes to church every Sunday. Then if she didn't go to church, somebody may be concerned and call the family. We completely understand that. But as we dove into this line of information, we learned, and I believe it was from the Daily Mail, that uncovered that Nancy did not go to the church physically. She, ever since COVID, chose to stay home and do online church, and she's become very comfortable with this online church. So who called the family? And were they really from the church? We've got so many questions about this church. Was this the assailant wanting to provoke this people finding out about Nancy sooner so they could see their handiwork? We need to look at those types of things. Or was this misconstrued or misrepresented by the family? Many people want to know, especially in light of this clearing of the family. I will be honest with you guys, no matter what your opinion of me is, I never really got on the ball with Tommaso Cioni. I just didn't. There was just some things I wanted to wait to see how things panned out. It wasn't that it was out of the realm of possibilities. It's just everything that I was learning about them. I didn't see any drugs. I didn't see any alcohol abuse. I didn't see any violence in the home. The typical things that we see from violent people. I saw that they didn't like to follow traffic, right? They were on their phone when they should be hands-free and things of that nature. But nothing that really, just screamed at me like some cases do. And so I was looking at this and I'm like, these people look like, they seem like hippie, salt of the earth, one with the earth, you know what I'm saying? Just hippie people. And one thing you can find about hippie people is they're typically not violent individuals at all. As a matter of fact, they're, if somebody were to perpetrate violence on them, they're so non-violent that they wouldn't even strike back. And so that's kind of the image and what I was vibing with when it came to Annie and Tommaso. But, truth can be stranger than fiction. So I didn't dismiss the fact that they could be culpable in all of this. I didn't dismiss that. But since then, I truly do believe that they are victims, despite what we still feel as uncomfortable. But they do have DNA. We know that they have DNA. We know that they've canvassed Tommaso and Annie's neighborhood twice. I'm absolutely confident one of the items that they've received is video footage showing that they've never left the house the entire night. So, it's just one of those things. So what are we going to be talking about today? Today on the YT that's going to be happening at 8:30, we're going to be going over the intro into the case. We're going to be going over the fact that we started reporting Mexico being ruled out 2 days ago. Okay, 2 days ago, we've reported this. Now mainstream media is just catching up. This is exactly why people are done with mainstream media. And right now, we have a war. It is a war between mainstream media and social media, and you're seeing it erupt as they dog, and this has been going on for a while. When we first started coming out, which, let's be honest, me, Jonathan, and Olivia were pioneers of showing up to these sites personally and reporting from the scene. We were called out for a long time, and then other people, jumped on board and started going out to the scenes. And it started really putting pressure on mainstream media because mainstream media has been lying and manipulating us for years. And I don't care whether you believe it or not, it's just the reality of the situation and why I'm here. And so we've been fighting back tooth and nail to have true freedom of press in this country while we've been taking on mainstream media. And there's been a few of us that have taken this responsibility to heart. And one of those people is Jonathan Lee Riches, as much as it burns my ass to say that. But he's been out there killing it and slaying it. And he's really, mainstream media is not liking it because he's taking a lot of viewership from him, which rightfully so he should. Right? He's the one out there. He's the one taking us for rides. We see mainstream media show up for their 5 o'clock news. They don't care about these cases. After mainstream media clears out of the area, who do you think's going to still be carrying this ball forward and remembering that we have a missing grandmother? Who do you think? The same people that keep taking all of these things on every single time. Mainstream media. At the end of the day, mainstream media is the one, social media is the one that's going to be cleaning up the mess of mainstream media. They bring these cases to the public, and then they leave them. They never follow through until there's a break in the case. Meanwhile, mainstream media is following leads. Mainstream media is taking you out there, social media is taking you out there on drives. They're taking you out there for searches. They're involving you in the case more so than any mainstream media. And moreover, one thing that I've noticed is when you're out there on the ground, all these media people, right? All these people on TV and everything, they're tents are empty. But you see people like the public coming up, but who are they going to? They're going to the social media content creators. Why? Because we have a relationship with our audience. You guys come here every single day. We speak to you every single day. We feel like we know one another. So when we're in your area, you come up and talk to us like you're our friend and we're your friend because we've been friends for years on here talking about true crime. These talking heads on mainstream media do not have that kind of connection that we have with our audience. And that's super, super important. So, as mainstream media starts calling out social media, and as this war rages on between the truth and the propaganda, we're going to continue to slay as social media. And trust me, us in social media, we don't all get along. We don't all get along. But when it comes down to our profession, when it comes down to our job, we go to the mattress. We will go to the mattress for it, because before social media, or before mainstream media was taken seriously, they had to fight for their rights. And we're having to fight for our rights. And it's so funny because, now we have Megyn Kelly. Megyn Kelly's a content creator, right? We now have Ashley Banfield. Ashley Banfield has crossed over. She's now a content creator. And they're like, I can't stand it when they call us YouTubers. We've been in the industry. Come on down. Come on down, baby girls. Come on down. Come on down here, because let me tell you, we're all professionals. And it's that kind of mentality, even as they cross over to our lane. It's that kind of mentality that pisses people off, because we work our ass off over here. And I can tell you that we don't have teams. We dance circles around mainstream media that have teams of 10. And it's just 1 or 2 people working these cases, on our team. And then, of course, you got like other content creators, and they got, 10 people working their cases. So, we do eventually have a lot of people helping out with these cases. But at the end of the day, we don't have teams, and we're not all being paid. So just to put that into perspective. So we had a great call-in show. We're going to be doing some call-ins later this morning as well. And everyone is paying attention to this case. That was what was noticed on my show last night is, typically the true crime genre is 50 and 60-year-old women, okay? And I can tell you the majority of the people that called my show last night were men. Men are taking an interest. And maybe it's just this case. Maybe it's this case because, they're thinking of their own mother and it's a guy's job to be protecting or something like that. I'm not sure, but we had, I think, out of my entire show, the majority of my callers last night were men. I was kind of shocked that we had so many men engaged in this true crime, because like I said, I'm always looking at my my behind the scenes analytics, to find out who my market is, right? And typically my market is 50 and 60-year-old women. So to see this case really pull in guys, males, it was just, I don't know. It really, this does affect everybody. And for people not to be paying attention to true crime is insane, because crime happens everywhere. And I think sometimes we get into this bubble where we feel so comfortable, where we don't think any crime's going to come upon us. But look at Nancy. She lived in this house since the 70s or 80s or something like that, something like 40 or 50 years. Can you imagine the stability and the comfort you have in your home after that many years, and to be ripped out of your bed in the middle of the night by a masked gunman? How frightening that has to be. How eroding to public safety and personal safety that has to be, not only to her, but her entire family and community. It's like them being AR'd and being sat out naked in front of the whole entire world. It's got to be horrible. This has got to be a very horrible, horrible experience. And a lot of people are paying attention to this case. And I'm very thankful, because everybody keeps wondering why this case. Well, first of all, Savannah is well known, so it already had a name recognition to the case to begin with, okay? And she's got a lot of powerful friends. And at the end of the day, whether you believe it's right or fair, it doesn't matter. She's going to call, just like if you were in this situation yourself, you're going to call in every single favor you have ever earned in your entire life. And that's what she did, and it hit her pay dirt. She along with us have put this case where everybody's talking about it nonstop, and that's good. But the problem is people are getting Guthrie fatigue. And that is going to start wearing on the case because of this nonstop coverage. And we need to start pacing the coverage. However, it's hard to pace the coverage because we don't know where things are going, and we don't know how bad the county sheriff has screwed up the case or contaminated evidence, or, you know, still having potential pissing contests with the feds, which I never really believed. They may have some 400 people on a case. You're going to have some attitude. You're going to have some personalities that don't drive together. And I think that's what we were seeing earlier on in the case. But we're waiting for somebody to be nabbed. We got DNA. We've got no hits in CODIS. We've got them not releasing the vehicle. But if we were to go and look at Carlos, the first person that was detained and searched, and this Luke, that's the second person and family that's been detained, the one caveat to both of those, the one thing that they both have in common is a gray SUV with more of a pointy tip to the front end. And that is interesting because one was a Nissan and one was a Range Rover. The Range Rover, in my opinion, looked a little more like the image that I saw. There appears to be a car in the back of the image in that dark night. Okay, there appears, you can start seeing, I'm going to be focusing on it. I may do some filtration of that image live so you guys can see how it's brought to the surface. So it appears we have a car back there, and some people believe they see a second person back there. So we're working to work through all of that as well. So we're going to be talking about the church as well as this image, and we may just go ahead and do some exercises with the filtration on the image so you guys can see how that's done, and see, maybe start working with your own images and stuff like that to lift images from the dark of night to the surface. It goes with, and you have to work with the whites, the darks, the shadows, and the white and the lights. Those are the brights, rather. Those are the only ways you can, in my opinion, you can lift these things to the surface. That's how I've been able to lift other things in the backgrounds to the surface, but I stayed within the shadows, the whites, and the blacks, and adjust that way. But again, there may be somebody that does it better or easier or more accurate than me, but we'll give it a good try this morning. Again, 8:30 this morning, we will be live on the YT. So come over and check it out. We've got a lot to go over. And the first topic of conversation, in all fairness, is the church. Who called and why did this whole part of the story just fall off the face of the earth? I've got questions, and I'm sure you do too. All right, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to support my channel here on the Tiki Talk. I just dropped a new video. If you guys could go over there, watch it, like it, and provide me a comment. What do you think is going on? I'm reading these comments, and I'd like to know your perspective.